the price damage that has happened to a majority of these stocks, whether it's large cap IT or mid cap IT, for reasons obviously very well known to the markets at this point of time. And as the numbers are indicating, you're seeing softness in EBITDA margins. You're probably expected to see some amount of tepid order flows come through. But I think the management are still hooking on or holding on to their guidance in terms of both the expectations of constant currency growth as well as EBIT margins. Now, one of the elements that we were speaking to a lot of our clients back in the US and Europe as well, I think what is largely coming out is maybe IT budgets might not get cut that significantly at this point of time. And cuts, if any, I think in the second or third quarter of this year, will only get reflected by the fourth quarter of this financial year. So I mean, even if the earnings downgrades start coming through in terms of weaker numbers projected on these parameters, I think it will be only for the next year. And a lot of companies are probably projecting FY24 to be more normalized. It's very, very marginal cut in terms of IT spend.
Okay.
Having said that,
Mayuresh,
our own sense is that this sector might consolidate.
Mayuresh.
Let's get Mayuresh's view. Mayuresh, IndusInd Bank, every now and then, you get some kind of a news flow that comes in. Valuation-wise, it has been attractive. It's always been attractive. But what do you do with the stock? At around 820 rupees odd, from the day's low, it's already recovered close to around 3.5%.
So, Nigel, I think what the news is coming through at this point of time, I think it's always a better strategy to probably just wait it out. Let there be complete clarification in view of this news at this point of time, because there is going to be some amount of a sentimental impact either ways. The second element, you're absolutely right. From a valuation perspective, I think no two ways about it. What has really happened in terms of their overall book, specifically the advances growth, is coming back to normalization levels, specifically in terms of their CV and the cards portfolio as well. The NIMs and the spreads are showing significant signs of stability and expected to grow going forward as well. And capital adequacy is not a problem. But again, I think wait and watch, in terms of the news and what kind of numbers probably come through for this quarter specifically.
But let's see, Mayuresh, so apart from IndusInd, in the banking universe, anything that you like?
No, I think we are keeping an eye on the larger banks, Anuj. I think ICICI Bank is something that we're obviously keeping an eye on at our global scale. Obviously, kind of number improvement that the bank has probably reported looks in a very, very good steady state in terms of reported numbers going forward with reasonable amount of provisioning done, so on and so forth. But again, I think as a space or as a sector, I think two spaces stand out apart from banks and financials. Capital goods is something that our global unit is probably liking at this point of time. Our own sense is that with a lot of capex expected to come through, both from the government and the private side, a few of these capital good companies should continue doing well. So we continue to have a very, very positive view for companies like Siemens, ABB, where the entire power space, where the space related to data center, mobility, and even the metro orders for a company like Siemens should keep on growing forward as well. And the same with ABB when it comes to electrification as well. And the second space, which is probably showing some amount of strength in our opinion, obviously becomes consumer staples as well. So to that extent, I think a couple of these sectors are looking very, very good at this point.
To see a mid-cap IT company that valuation-wise is not very, very cheap, but it's moved to the high point of the day ahead of its numbers. Very quickly, Mayuresh, if you could fill us in with your take on mid-cap IT. We have 2 or 3 results that we're expecting, say, in the next 24 hours or so.
So, Nigel, I think Mindtree is expected to come out with a reasonable set of numbers. So, as Rima mentioned, I think the constant currency growth in excess of 5% consecutively for the last 5 quarters, if they're able to do this, I think it's going to be very, very commendable. There is a marginal compression in EBIT margins around 18.2. I think the street will take that in its stride. And similarly is the case with Tata Elxsi as well. I think the kind of move that Tata Elxsi has given at this point of time, I think even an inline set of numbers will probably act as a relief. So I think I'll watch out specifically for numbers like Tata Elxsi and a Mindtree from the mid-cap space.